Rachel Nichols.
Hello.
Oh my God.
Okay, first of all,
Go ahead.
Well, I don't think people realize we haven't met in person before.
I know. I have this weird thing with a lot of women that I admire in sports media that people are like, you're friends with Rachel Nichols, right? And I'm like, well, so yes,
Yes.
but also like have never met her in my life.
Person, right?
Yeah.
So there's that.
Which makes this very
Well, if you
stressful.
talk to someone, right? I mean, it's kind of like, are we like the internet dating where you're like, is that person really real? Or we've talked over online.
I may have been getting catfished.
Are we really real? How is this going on?
You could have showed up and been like
right.
a dude. And I'd be like, wow, all this
she looks
time.
different.
How'd you get that check mark next to your
Exactly.
name?
What happened?
But
There
thank you for being here.
And I made it through security, which
Yeah.
is not easy.
No.
Your guy downstairs, he's
Oh, please don't refer to him
hardcore.
as my guy.
No,
he's
your
the
guy.
worst.
He's your guy.
He's
so
the worst.
He's like, who are you here to see? So I told him,
Oh,
and
they
he
have no
said,
idea.
what are you doing? I was like, are you the producer? Like, what are we getting into here?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? I don't know. You tell me, what am I doing? So then he asked for a picture ID, and we're in Manhattan. I didn't drive here. I took a taxi,
valid
right?
point.
Because, they have those yellow things.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I don't have my driver's license with me, but here's my work ID, which is like laminated. I mean, it's official. There's
Yeah.
a photo. And he was like, yeah, no.
He wasn't into it.
No.
Really?
He's like, this doesn't have a number, so I can't write it down. So there was that. Then when I finally got past him with some mustache disguises and stuff and went upstairs, you guys are 601. Am I giving this away, or are people gonna kind of storm?
Oh yeah, just give them the suite
Garbage
number. Do you want to
time?
give them my home phone number as well, or?
Later.
Okay, perfect.
Right, so you guys are 601 and you get off the elevator and it says 601 diplomatic offices. Do you know that?
We were not supposed to tell anybody
Okay.
that. No, I'm
So
just kidding. I
the
have
whole
no
thing-
idea what 601 diplomatic offices is.
Right. So, and then now I'm here and it says garbage time. So I think this whole podcast is a scam.
Yeah,
is really
this
what
isn't
I'm
real.
getting to.
We're actually on candid camera. No, just kidding.
Right. But this is your first one, so congratulations.
First ever.
Boom.
And I'm going to interview someone who interviews for a living. So this was like a really poor choice
Right.
for making me look talented.
Well, I'm going to take notes.
Yeah, you're gonna be
There's
like,
gonna
Katie,
be a
so
heavy evaluation. There's all that
Open-ended
stuff.
questions are not your strong suit. Talk about yourself less. These are going to be all your notes.
No
I'm just
talk about questions.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I'll
Right from the
never
beginning.
say talk
Boom.
about. I hate when people say,
See, there you
tell
go.
me a little bit about.
Exactly.
Like, no.
No. There you go.
It should end in a question mark, or I'm not
Exactly.
answering it.
Exactly.
But I'm, a petulant child.
Yes.
Let's, I guess, start at the beginning. And we got to talk about your career. So you went to Northwestern.
I did.
Then you went to Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, right? It was the
Yes.
first place you were.
So I was really cold. I really liked school. I love Northwestern.
Yeah.
I will rep Northwestern. I thought it was a great school, great journalism school, fun, great Chicago I love. But I was not prepared
It's
for that
cold.
winter. I mean, I grew up in the Northeast-ish. I grew up around Washington, D.C.
Right.
So it's like the bottom of the Northeast,
Right.
maybe, right? Mid-Atlantic. And
That was good.
And I thought, we have winter, right? Boston,
Yep.
you guys have winter,
Snows.
right? Dark. Just gets
Ah.
dark in the winter in Chicago,
Yeah.
and just
Cold and miserable.
yeah. So I was like, I basically drew a line in the middle of the country, and I said, I'm going to apply for jobs down.
that.
So I went to work in Fort Lauderdale, where I actually interned when I was in college. I loved it. It was awesome. I would have stayed there longer, except I grew up around Washington, D.C. I thought that the Washington Post was kind of like the Bible of journalism and sports journalism and everything. I read All the President's Men 1,600 times. Mike Wilbon, Tony Kornheiser, Christine Brennan were at the Washington Post. It was such a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'd been an intern there in college as well, and they called me up about a year and a half after I'd been in Florida, and I just would never say no to that in my whole life.
And
it
you've
was
said
hugely
such,
formative.
yeah, I was gonna say you've said so many things about like what that did for you.
Yeah, it was, crazy. It's just an amazing time to be at that place.
Yeah.
And the people that went through there at that time and the environment that it was, the sports editor, George Solomon, they just had a huge, crazy profile on him on the
Yeah,
big lead. And
saw
there's,
that.
you can read about his influence and all the people who actually went through him and got their start because of him. And I'm one of those people. And taught you how to be a good person, taught you how to be a good journalist, just taught you how to do things the right way. Jeannie McManus, who was his number 2, having a woman as the deputy sports editor of the sports section at that time was not usual, and sort of spoke to where they put, people with good ideas, that's all that mattered, and people who were smart, that's all that mattered. And then, the people around me working with me, Christine Brennan, who was the first woman at that newspaper to cover the NFL team. Oh my God, let's put a woman in that position. That's smart, and she's so smart. to be with Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, and my little cubicle, because trust me, I was lucky to have a cubicle being 22 years old and starting to work there.
I don't have a cubicle here.
Right, see? Well, you do in the diplomatic side of the office.
Yeah, I do.
Don't
I
pretend.
do. I'm not supposed to say, but yeah.
My little cubicle was right in between Wilbon and Kornheiser.
Oh, wow.
Their offices. So they would scream all day at each other. This was long before PTI.
Doesn't sound like
them.
them.
And I would be like, can you guys just like 2 minutes? I would just love to, right? But so when they got the deal to do PTI, all of us were like, right, okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
that's
perfect.
right.
So that's the show you've been doing
We're
in
like,
this office.
So you're just going to come tape it here, right?
Yeah.
We were very surprised they were getting a studio to do PTI because we were like,
you've been doing it.
Right, you've been doing it. So that whole time was really cool and amazing and led to everything else.
When did you choose to go the sports route? Was that in college?
No, earlier than that. Even.
Yeah?
I was always wanted to do sports.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's all sorts of like big reasons that mean something to me now that I've actually done it. At the beginning, let's not pretend it was more than like, it's more fun than covering the news.
You think it's going to be a lot easier.
Right, or just a way you want to spend your day,
Yeah.
right? I would like to spend my day talking about football. I do not want to spend it talking about burning buildings and, crime.
Who knew
and
they'd overlap so
much.
Here now knowing what we know.
Right. And then later as I got to do it more, look, as a journalist, which I like being, sports happens right in front of you, right? So if you are covering the burning building, you go to the site where the fire happened and you have to interview everyone and ask what happened at the big fire. But you weren't there. You don't know how it started. You're just sort of trying to retell and put together that story. For me, knowing, and that's totally valid form of journalism, obviously, but for me, knowing that the fire is going to break out at 1 o'clock on a Sunday and getting to be there when it starts and watching everything that happens, and then everything that happens in sports, right? It's a great story. It's great, there's a beginning, middle, and end, and the heroes and villains and whatever, and it's a great tale that plays itself as a narrative, and so that's pretty cool too. If you like being a writer or being a storyteller.
Yeah. So you just knew.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted to do.
I did.
That's amazing.
I like football.
Football is great.
And basketball. So these are good things.
Basketball also good.
Yeah.
I'm breaking ground here.
I know.
Hockey also great.
Also great. I was the hockey writer at the Washington Post. 3 years. Beat
I
writer.
knew that. Capitals.
There
right?
you go.
Yeah. That's fun.
There you go.
I'll move it forward.
I was going to say, we're thrilling the world with this podcast.
So, okay, Washington Post, very formative.
Right. Great.
Great, amazing things.
ESPN.
Meeting people.
Fast forward through
yeah,
all
we
this
don't have to
stuff.
go through all of them. I'm just trying to figure out, so you started very much being a reporter, and now you're still obviously a reporter and a journalist, but you're starting to be able to inject your opinion into things.
For the last few years, I wouldn't even say starting anymore, since I took the job that I have now. The job that, one of the reasons I made the switch, God, by now 2.5 years ago, over to Turner, is that one of the things they offered me the ability to do was to be more of an analyst than a straight reporter.
Right.
And to, be an anchor there for their, when we do sports specials, did a sports show there for a while. And when I come on other people's shows, to give my analysis on what's going on in the news in the world of sports in a way that I couldn't in my former job.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You are CNN's.
You're wrong.
Yeah, it's good to. You're probably right that I'm wrong.
I'm kidding.
You're CNN's lone sports sports anchor is you.
Right. Well, I have awesome colleagues that I work with who all have different jobs, but in terms of being
some news breaks and Anderson Cooper wants to talk about it and it's sports related, they call you.
Right. Last night that was me. Even though we're not supposed to say last night.
We specifically
said don't say last night, but nobody listening or watching knows which last night I'm talking about.
You're on Anderson Cooper all the time.
All the time. So it could have been last night.
But so that
people can download this podcast like a month from now.
We don't even know if this is going to air anywhere. I don't even know if we have a platform for it yet.
Right.
I just wanted to talk to you.
Right.
So I lured you here under the guise of a show. These people are homeless people I paid to sit here.
Right, exactly.
You guys are doing great. You look good with the headphones on. You look official.
Nice job.
No, but I'm like, it's amazing to me, and it gets underplayed, and maybe it's good that it gets underplayed because it's not, we don't have to draw attention to it, but CNN has one sports person, and it's a woman.
Right. Again, we have other sports people,
I
but
know,
on the role you are talking about, they want me to do that thing, and that's fantastic. And that is something that is very cool and was very attractive to me when I took this job.
So which do you like better, straight reporting, or being able to state your opinion? I mean, they both have their own
I just think
value.
I've gotten to a point where I have more things to say.
Yeah.
And I have the perspective and the years under my belt of watching and seeing how things work, that when I say them, I feel really good about those opinions being informed.
Right,
So,
which is important.
Right.
Believe it or not.
Let's not,
sports TV,
let's not go crazy.
Did you feel an itch when you were reporting that, like, oh, I really wish I could say my feelings on this, but I can't?
I think the longer you go doing it, and it's all important, right? I mean, they're all part of each other, and I think in a best case scenario, the best commentators on sports TV or any TV are people who have a background in really hardcore journalism, because you want to be informed about what you're talking about. You want to have done the work and the legwork, and to have talked to people, and to know how to ask good questions, and to know how to look for information.
Yeah.
And then you can form the best opinion, and when you're making your argument, you are able to do it in a way that brings in all of those other things.
And you don't come off like you're making things up for controversy. You truly feel that way, unless you want to. I would also argue that the best people in TV come from a background of hardcore journalism or YouTube. That's what I just to edit that statement,
right?
So we make sure we make
totally.
everybody here feel included. Here's a weird question.
Yes.
But it'll probably be weird for them. But this is just a thing I've always wanted to ask you, as I've been doing this for like a year or 2 years.
This is quite
now.
a build-up.
I know.
It's a weird question. You've been wanting to ask it for a couple years.
Paper or plastic?
A lot of pressure on this question.
No, so like this is more for me. This is me needing to I look up to you, obviously. I want to make that weird.
I'm only 5'4", so
I look down on you.
Okay, there we go.
No, but how much do you feel, or have you felt throughout your career, and it may have changed from beginning to now, but do you feel or struggle with a responsibility to women?
I don't struggle. I mean, I think and again, Christine Brennan is a great mentor, had been a great mentor for me in that, because from the minute I walked into the Washington Post, she basically looked at me and said, I want to help you succeed, in a way that was so crazy generous, and I see her do it to this day with all kinds of young women, that is what I learned. And that is what I want to do for other people, and hope that I do. And I don't do it as well as she does, frankly, because she's amazing, but we're better when there are more of us around.
It's true.
I think that in general, a diversity of opinion. I mean, I've talked about this before. I talked about this with Bill Simmons. I hate the word diversity because it's one of those like stupid HR words.
Yep.
But
it means old wooden ship, right?
Right. But what it means is that if you have people in a room who come from different places and have different experiences and think differently, you will have a better conversation.
Right.
And that's just, you don't have to be
common sense.
Right. If we all grew up in one place with one set of experiences and try to talk, we're all just going to be an echo chamber. And if you have people from all around who have all different things, so we're all better when there are more people in the conversation. And then I'm better off when there are more people, or at least a few people who in the conversation who I might be able to relate to in a different way than some of the other people I relate to.
Yeah.
And you want as much of everything as you can have, because it makes the stew better.
Right. My worry is that sometimes, like, if there's an issue that is related to women, that there's so few of us, I guess, in comparison to how many men are in sports media, that if one makes a mistake or a misstep or an error, that there's this huge, like, women suck.
Yeah.
And like, so that's what I have this worry that I'm going to misstep a little, and all of a sudden this like shit storm of like, this is why women shouldn't be in sports media. So there's just this weight.
I'm going to fix
to
that for
everything.
you. You ready?
Can you? Go ahead.
I can.
Should I lay on the couch like you're my therapist?
Here. When you do everything right,
yeah,
and you haven't screwed up,
yeah,
do you hear that still sometimes?
Yeah.
Women suck. They shouldn't be in sports.
Yep.
Okay, so does it matter?
No.
There you go.
So fuck them.
Well, I'm just saying, it does. If whether you do it right or wrong produces the same result, you don't have to worry about doing it wrong. I mean, you should strive to be right.
So I'm just going to go be wrong
selling
now.
you to libel and all that.
Screw research.
But don't be
you're right.
afraid
You're
of,
right. Well, so this kind of lends
No one
itself
should
to,
live afraid, Katie.
I'm constantly at spiders, bridges, heights. I'm afraid of
You're afraid of heights?
I fear everything.
What are you actually afraid of? What do you think is
fear
going to happen?
I don't know what I think is going to happen, but if I'm on a tall building and I get too close to the edge, I'd start to feel like I have to hold on to something.
Right.
Like a strong gust of wind.
So you're going to see that movie with the
one?
guy walking?
So, yes. But it's all, the preview for that movie reminds me of, remember when the previews for the movie Phone Booth came out?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, is this whole movie going to take place in a phone booth?
Didn't it
Or,
though?
yes.
Right.
Or
I didn't see it.
The movie where they get left out in the middle of the ocean and the boat leaves them.
Right, the shark
Like,
thing.
is this whole movie going to take place in the middle of the ocean?
Right.
It's like, is this whole movie going to be on a tightrope between, like, I'll watch it, but, like, where are we going with that plot? Other than to the other tower. Hopefully.
I don't want to ruin the end.
Spoiler
I don't want
alert.
to ruin the end for you.
I don't know if he makes it.
The shark thing in the